a visit to Mike Molnar's house. It's February 27th, 2016.
From the World's Fair, and at that moment, he didn't come in until after the deal was done, but I probably could have got more.
Yeah, he would have been a motivated buyer.
Yeah, he absolutely was. And I'm just going to follow up this year. I'll see him there and see if whatever happens.
This one is the poor man's color converter from the late 50s. You would buy that and add it onto your black and white set, and only bring it out, you know, if it was going to be a color program, because there were only a couple a year, and that converter would sit on top and split the signal up. That works, but not nearly as well as this one.
So you actually, it's not just colorized, you actually get color.
Yeah, it's actually the actual right colors.
You're creating that signal, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, it's just coming up from a standard disc player. But this guy, Daryl Hawk, engineered this little converter box, because there had been no way to ever see a picture on this before.
Yeah.
And all in this little thing, right? This is amazing.
This creates the sync?
This is his box, and it converts anything to anything. You could send in NTSC, you can send in PAL, and it can convert to this, it can convert to scanning
this isn't a regular television signal, though? Because it's breaking it apart?
But that format doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
So that
what do you call the format?
They call it field sequential. So each field is broken into a sequence of the red, green, and blue.
Okay.
And
that's how, so it's kind of blinking each?
Yeah, but your eye can't possibly put it together.
Okay, I'm getting the grasp on it a little bit.
It wasn't compatible with...
I mean, for so many years I've been like, how the hell does that work? And everyone just says, very well.
White, yeah.
But this,
a scanning disc, at least you understand it's the holes and you're looking at a line that's made as it revolves.
Right.
But this is a little...
You could pick out 24-line mechanical.
Wow.
It's amazing. All into some chips he programmed in there, yeah. And it's pricey, but he sells, you know, enough a year that it's a part-time job for him. Wow. But he engineered the whole thing. Yeah. There were guys who
That's amazing. Well, let's go.
Hey, buddy. Hi, Pam.
Finally. The big one? Guys carrying it in. Where do we put this?
Over here, this has all the clap Eastham sets from the earliest HR and HZ, and then you can see their whole evolution as they basically combine the two into one cabinet. They even used two front panels, and then they combined it. Better controls. This has a vernier dial, so it's like 6 steps through their evolution over a few years. This is the Paragon transmitter with its own microphone. Loose couplers. Some of the Western Electric sets.
What tubes would they take?
The Western Electrics use the peanut tubes, the little 215s. The biggest set is the Lutz Model L. That's in two pieces over there. So there's a tuner section and an amplifier section. And these pieces came from the Ralph Muckow collection.
Muckow in Chicago.
Yeah. This is a scanning disc television with its tuner, the receiver. But instead of a disc, they used a drum. So with a drum, you can get rid of the keystone effect. It doesn't come in like this. So it's a perforated drum spinning around.
What vintage is that?
That would be early 30s. This is a Crosley Rito. It's the Crosley idea of it's a fax machine basically. And what they would do is at night they would turn their radio audio signal off. People with a Rito would connect to the radio, and it would send the day's newspaper from in a smaller format. But the idea was for isolated farmers or whatever to be able to get.
It's amazing. People don't realize how old fax technology was.
Yeah. Now that one's probably early 30s too. And they made a matching radio I'm still on the hunt for that has the exact same cabinet, and this would sit on top of it. But that hasn't come along yet.
Where do you do most of your hunting?
Oh, now eBay. Used to be Antique Radio Classified and at the different meets.
I imagine people know you, and so they contact you when you. They think you might want something.
A lot of times, if I go to a flea market, there are people waiting for me to get there. This is a Nordenhout, which I haven't found any documentation on, but Nordenhout's name is on everything, and it's from the early screen grid tube days.
It's aluminum cabinet?
I don't think it's aluminum. I think it's steel, but just very thin. This is a rare piece. This is a Marconi magnetic detector. If you look at the picture of the radio room on the Titanic, one of these was up on the wall behind the operator.
Awesome.
It would be hooked to the antenna, and the signal coming in would magnetize the wire as it would go around. It would be picked up, and then there's fixed magnets to erase it again. So you had to wind it up. It has like a phonograph motor in it. And it would run for a long time, and they would just get the signal from antenna right to the headphones from this.
Mr. Cruiser, was he any part of this?
No, this came from Italy. It was found in a basement in Genoa. These are, that's a transceiver that would have been on a biplane in World War I.
I thought they were pretty nice though.
You guys still down here?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So behind you there on the floor is a spool, kind of a khaki colored case. They would unspool the wire out as the antenna out the back of the plane, and that would be hooked to this, and then you'd have your headphones on to, there's a transmit receive switch, so it would have been done in code, so that I guess the guy sitting behind the pilot would have had the key to send the signal.
It was something like that with the aerial. Did you
Most amazing
get the
thing.
receiver with the aerial, or always something separate?
That ended up separate.
And it's good for me because I keep feeling like I have too much.
That radio on the top there, Thompson Minuet, is considered like the prototype for cathedral radios. It was still a battery set, but they built in the speaker, and that's a big tuning dial across the top.
And she decided I wasn't
So it's
off the wall.
26, 27?
Yeah, late 20s.
I showed her some pictures I took, but can't do it justice.
Why is it that all this stuff is so attractive?
We're a little crazy.
They all have the same disease.
No, there's something about this era. Automobile,
Over here, this
furniture.
this Western Electric is before the more squared box ones. Is the 4A. It was a very early super hit, and it put RCA to shame because they picked one of these to be the radio receiver in the White House, and it just outperformed what RCA was doing at the time. So they were kind of beating at their own game with the super hits. That used the peanut tubes also. That's a homemade Tesla coil that somebody had at a flea market, but it's probably from the 50s or 60s. Awesome. Tube oscillators. These are called the, I guess what do they call these, Jerry? The Heinz sets?
Yeah, rebroadcast.
For rebroadcasting. When the Heinz company was having their, I think it was 50th anniversary.
I forget the banquet though,
But they had a big banquet at all their different offices, and the president of the company got to speak from the studio and gave a speech to everybody because each one had one of these receivers.
I think it was like 25 made or something
Yeah,
like that?
25.
Do you have this stuff inventory?
I've done it, and then go back and make changes to it. And what I need to do so I don't get confused is buy those little tags and actually put a number on stuff. Otherwise, as memory fades, a lot of. That's a neat. That's an early wire recorder. It was actually. There was a guy that went to that Maryland meet one year, and he had like 5 different wire recorders, and some of them actually used a cartridge, looked like an old 8-track cartridge, and would spool the wire from side to side. But apparently there was a good sized industrial market for that stuff. Yeah, this
There's a little bit earlier. Yeah, that storm was really bad.
Yeah. And then melted away faster than they usually
I know.
I still have a little snow out there.
Yes. Yes, what got piled up?
This microphone has a story that it's kind of a take the story or leave it. But I got it at a flea market, and the guy, I bought it from the guy. I was going to take it away. He said, I wasn't going to tell you this till after somebody bought it, because I didn't want to sound like I was making up a story. But he bought out all this stuff from a bar that was closing out in Hoboken. It was one of the places that Sinatra used to go and sing for his family. So this is my Frank
So that's Frank Sinatra's microphone.
Well, he used it anyway. Probably some genetic testing could prove something. And then a little bandstand amplifier that was used for those kind of things at the time. Epiphone. Yeah, or sometimes they'd have them with a, if you had a big brass band and one guy playing a guitar.
Right.
Did you ever see one of these, Jerry? This RCA communications kind of receiver?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only one, Bob White came up with that.
Okay.
And sold it to me, and I'd never seen one before. Oh, yeah.
Is that like a Marine Corps? Marine?
Well, I looked for that.
Radio Marine Corps?
I don't know, they...
Oh, this is RCA.
Yeah, they bounced around those names so
Yeah,
often.
I know. Probably heavy, huh?
Yeah.
How long have you been collecting?
Actually, when I had a store in the 70s, I used to put things aside, and then I didn't get active again until the 80s.
What kind of store was that?
I had a Zenith and Sharp franchise TV shop.
Oh,
And we sold parts like Radio Shack wood. So it was in downtown Woodbridge.
Woodbridge.
And went resoundingly bankrupt in 1978. And
Good year to go bankrupt, yeah.
yeah, got into medical electronics after that.
John was in the Fox can be any more biased. They make no bones about it. But
sensitive.
it
Oh, you gotta know how to hold your
a
hands.
whole nother angle that you wouldn't get.
Yeah, one's the volume and one's flat. Oh, yeah.
Mikey, what is this, a meteorite?
Carrying stuff out the front door.
Is it really?
Could be yours.
It could be. We got some good trades going on. It could be.
You gotta.
Is this the one that we got up in Vermont? Vermont? I thought
Quite
it was
heavy.
Iron.
It really was be a hot
Neat.
Where'd you get this?
Instead of rock shows, they're flea markets. They have some gems.
It seems.
Is that the one you just sold? That big store? Howard's just doing that?
Similar.
What's this vintage, Mike?
1890s. One minute. It's the Regina Music Box Company, also the Regina Vacuum Cleaner Company.